Honestly, I feel like I understand Kuguri in this moment. For all of the hype that was put behind Chihiro imitating the EI White Purity style, just for it to result in Chihiro and the Masumi escaping and leaving Kuguri with blue balls was not the way I envisioned this chapter going. But all this means is Kuguri is just going to be that much more fired up when the two of them eventually clash. And at the end of the day, the main mission was getting Somura's daughter Iori and making sure that she's safe from the Hishaku. So the moment Kuguri abandoned his mission for the chance at a good sword fight for Chihiro, the Masumi had already won. There was nothing left to do but buy time. However, despite the brief awakening of the sword style in Chihiro, he has in no way mastered it. When Chihiro and Kuguri go for their second clash, Chihiro immediately realizes that he's not able to build up the proper amount of spirit energy during an actual battle. Attempting to close the distance with no distractions is one thing, but with Kuguri actively in his face, Chihiro just can't waste time it takes charging energy and speed when he needs to defend himself. Unluckily for Chihiro, because of Kuguri's love for the art of swordsmanship, he's able to immediately recognize the technique as the EI White Purity. This not only means that the trick won't work on Kuguri and catch him off guard twice, but that Kuguri will be able to recognize the flaws in Chihiro's stance and potentially overwhelm him. According to Kuguri, the EI White Purity style is so esoteric and is an extremely unique style of combat. This is because of its precise movement and unique conditions. The style has been notoriously hard to learn and has truly only presented direct certifications of authenticity to two users of the technique, them being Somura Seiichi and Yoji Iruha. The original creator, Itsuo Shirakai, and his two disciples are the only possible way to learn the technique, so that's why Kuguri immediately assumes that Chihiro is a student of Iruha or Somura. However, Chihiro denies this, and it just makes Kuguri think he's lying, because the sword style is literally on the brink of extinction and about to fade out of relevancy due to the inability of anyone to learn it besides those three people I just named. If this is the case and what makes the EI White Purity style so rare, and Chihiro didn't learn it from them, how could he have possibly wielded such an amazing style with little to no effort at all? And it's here we understand not just a lot about the Roku Hera genetics, but why Chihiro was able to become such a powerful warrior despite having no formal training whatsoever. He has intuitively persevered over every enemy he's met up until this point, and the reason for that is the Roku Hera's special gene of extrasensory. It's a deep ability to intuitively learn and understand objects or properties just from seeing them, as opposed to having to traditionally study them and discover them and go the whole 9 yards. The observant eyes that Chihiro inherited from his father Kunishige is what allowed Kunishige to exceed the abilities of every swordsmith before him and utilize the Datenseki crystal's power. Kunishige was able to meld the toxic material known as Datenseki into the enchanted blades due to his supernatural perception, being able to draw out the Datenseki's stabilization by observing the most minuscule of features and properties of the stone, coming to understand it and know it better than anyone just on sight alone. Now, obviously, any swordsmith that is swordsmithing can learn to gauge a steel's temperature and composition just on sight, but the Roku Heras are able to bring this level of perception to its peak, even enough to extend this kind of extrasensory into combat situations, as shown when only after watching Somura perform the EI White Purity style once as a child, young Chihiro is able to perfectly replicate Somura's form in no time, as if he'd been training for years. And now that he's seen Iruha and also more of Somura, Chihiro is able to copy their movements to a T. The funny part is, being faced with the information that Chihiro could intuitively perform the White Purity style, this legendary technique without training, Kuguri is confronted with the previous flashback we got last chapter of Hirohiko claiming he too learns intuitively and from watching others. Previously, Kuguri denounced Hirohiko for this carelessness, and now Kuguri is almost eating his words, because he was just driven to a blind desire to sword fight with a combatant that normally Kuguri would detest everything about, claiming that good sword fights only come from people that understand and respect the art. But Clearly, that is not the case. As Kuguri checks on his partner, who we finally get name dropped as Todo, our group uses ninja techniques to warp themselves to a location known as the Kyoto Bloodshed Hotel, an establishment that ensures its guests have the ultimate rest with no threat or worry of danger coming their way. The Bloodshed Hotel and all of its subsidiaries maintain a spiritual barrier that guarantees complete privacy amongst all of its residents, hinting that it's possible you could even be staying at the same place as your enemy and probably never know it. Sumi admits that the barrier works well, but because havens like the Bloodshed Hotel are very rare and far and few in between, it probably won't take long for the Shaku to suspect they might have used these havens as a place to hide, and they might just start checking them regardless of the barrier keeping their senses safe or whatnot. They won't be able to hide here for long, but it does give them at the very least 24 hours to rest, and according to the Masumi, prepare an even stronger seal for Somura's daughter that will permanently remove her memories and keep her safe from harm. The Masumi are fully prepared to do what is necessary to protect Iori, even if it means erasing a part of her life forever. But Chihiro is noticeably upset by all of this. Of any people that Chihiro has met so far on this journey of revenge, there's no person that should be able to relate to him more than Iori. Hirohiko might beg to differ and claim to be more close to Chihiro, but minus all of those psychopathic tendencies, Iori has also, technically if you think about it, lost a father to the Enchanted Blades, and is now being thrust into a dangerous situation that she never asked for. Despite Somura thinking his daughter is better off not knowing her father is a killer, Chihiro considers that when Iori asks if he himself is a killer. The Masumi try to run defense, denying that Chihiro should be labeled as such, and Iori begins to apologize for the misunderstanding, but Chihiro tells her that she was correct the first time. A killer is exactly what he is. But despite being a killer, no. Because he is a killer, he'll be able to protect her and keep her safe without hesitation or doubt, cutting through the veil of being a killer, disqualifying you from being a good person. If Iori can accept Chihiro and see the good in him despite all of the blood on his hands, well, then maybe Somura is dead wrong about his daughter being better off not knowing her dad's a killer. And unlike Somura, who took all agency and choice away from Iori, Chihiro returns it to her in one flash, denying the wishes of the Masumi and allowing Iori to choose her own fate. The Masumi want to lock Iori away from this life forever. And despite promising to explain everything to Iori once they get safe, they're going back on their word and saying, well, there's no point to explain everything to you because you're just gonna forget it. And this strikes Chihiro in a way that the Masumi would never understand, because it makes Chihiro question. If he had never lived with his dad, he probably would be able to go to school. He probably wouldn't have to fight to the death. His body wouldn't be permanently scarred. You know, would Chihiro be happier if he didn't have to deal with his dad or live with his dad? The Masumi technically aren't wrong in saying this path would be much safer to take. However, Chihiro also knows deep down in his heart of hearts that despite everything that's happened and how time has went, he wouldn't trade his time with his father for any other alternative. And as the Masumi's master, Chihiro defies their wishes, opting to tell Iori everything there is to know about her father and what he's done. And after 24 hours, when that new seal is complete, Iori will have a choice. She can accept her true memories and bear the burden of this dangerous life, or she can truly feel that she's better off not partaking in this and getting rid of the knowledge that hangs heavy over her. Regardless of what Iori chooses, it will be her choice, not one that someone makes for her. Ro is concerned because, you know, the Hashaku from this point on will be coming after Iori if she decides to take on her memories, but this only fills Chihiro with resolve, knowing full well that if Iori chooses to accept her fate, he'll do everything he can to meet her halfway and keep her safe, even if that means taking the legendary, impossible to learn EI White Purity style and making it his bitch in under 24 hours. It's almost like I'm even more hype than when I thought Kuguri and Chihiro were about to get into a fight, because Chihiro's aura just needs to be studied. I get so hype whenever he decides to do something like this, and for being in the first 60 or so chapters, most main characters are not built like this. So god damn it, Hokuzono, just keep cooking and I will keep making these chapter reviews. You can count on that. Hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed these videos about Kagurabachi. Maybe check out any other series you may read weekly, or the main channel if you want to see any kind of extra additional content. And most importantly, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace, peace.